Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome to this evening's webinar with me, Sean, from Milano Meravigli, originally from Ireland, living in Milan since September. And today I will be teaching with
Danielle. I'm Danielle. Hi guys, happy Friday evening. And I'm also one of the teachers at MyS Meravigli in Milan. And I'm from Australia. Okay, so you've got our two very different English speakers to be listening to for the next 50 minutes or so. Yeah, thanks very much for joining. And thanks very much for joining on this Friday evening. We hope you all have a drink with you or something like that, considering it's 8 p.m. and at the end of your week. We've got Alicia.
No aperitivos in Milan anyway, unfortunately.
No. And I presume over the rest of the country as well. I think it's everywhere now.
Everywhere. Wow.
Yeah, I think it's already started. You guys, wherever you are from, let us know where you're from and if aperitivo is still happening. Or if all the bars are closed. We would like to know. So we've got Alicia. Hi, Alicia. Thanks very much for joining us.
Anyway, let us know where you're from, and I'll just discuss the subject of today's focus, which is music festivals. So we're going to discuss music festivals, and the grammar point is the use of modals and semi-modals to give advice and suggestions. So it's a subject that I think it's a bit difficult because the differences are quite subtle between them, and you have to see examples to really understand. So hopefully today you can practice and talk a bit about music as well, which is always nice. So let's get started. Music festival. Can you read these questions for me, Danielle, please?
Sure. Okay, number one, do you enjoy attending concerts or music festivals? Number two, how often do you attend concerts or music festivals? Number three, have you ever gotten a backstage pass? Number four, what was your favorite event? We've got Alessia here. Oh, Alessia from Bologna. Thanks very much for joining. Who else do we have? We have Marshu, also from Milan, the same city as us. Thanks for logging on. Okay, so number one, Sean, do you enjoy attending concerts or festivals?
I enjoy concerts very much. I have gone to very many concerts in my time, but I have never once gone to a music festival because coming from Ireland,
the
weather is no matter
the
time of, so I don't want to camp in bad weather. So this is the reason that I have never attended a music festival. How about you? In Australia, the weather is very good anyway.
Yeah, no, but in Australia, you get lots of music festivals that are just for one day. So I grew up, when I grew up, I used to always go to one-day music festivals. But, and when I lived in London, I went to lots of music festivals. I went to Glastonbury in 2013. But we were very lucky with the weather. It was great weather. But you're right. In Ireland and in the UK, the weather can mean that festivals aren't always much fun, especially if you have to camp. Guys, we've got a few comments here saying you can't see the presentation. Just try reloading because I believe you should be able to see it because the others can see it. Hi, Salva. We've got Salvatore from Ferrara. Thanks very much for joining. Number two, How
Mm.
often do you attend concerts and festivals? Guys, right, let us know. Send us a note to let us know your answers to these and we'll share them.
Yeah, please do. For me, I would say I go to maybe 3 or 4 concerts every year. How
Mhm.
often would you go to a concert?
It changes. Yeah, probably maybe less, maybe 2 or 3 concerts a year, I would
Mhm,
say. How about you guys? Let us know how many you go to. One thing I wanted to point out, so we say attending concerts or attending
mm,
music festivals. That's quite formal. You can say going to. Do you enjoy
mm,
going to concerts or going to festivals?
mm.
Okay. Alicia says um, she attends concerts maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah, pretty much the same as me. Okay, number 3. Sean,
Mhm.
have you ever gotten a backstage pass?
No, I haven't. Have you?
No, I haven't. I wish I had. But I have received press passes to things, to concerts.
Oh, were you
So
a journalist once?
I did used to be a journalist, but I got the press pass not because I was a
Okay,
journalist, but because I knew a publisher, the publisher of a music magazine, and he got me a ticket.
okay,
But yeah, I've
good.
never gotten a backstage pass. That we should say. So we
Yes,
have
a
here
backstage
gotten.
pass, yeah. Mm.
What's but also gotten and got. So does anyone know the difference between these two? If there is a difference? No. So gotten is American and got is sort of more British English, I think. What do you say, Sean? Do you say gotten or got?
Interestingly, I would say gotten. I think,
Okay.
because usually Irish is the same as British, but not
Yeah.
always. It's confusing
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay.
But
Yeah. I say
anyway.
got. Uh,
Okay,
okay.
good.
Yeah. Right. We've got some more. We've got
And just to
Patricia
clarify, a
from
backstage
Padova.
pass,
Thank you.
a backstage pass is when you have permission to visit the musicians backstage. Backstage is the word for behind the stage, where the musicians prepare for the show, where they wait for the show to start. Okay. Question number 4. What was your favorite event, Danielle?
Um, that's too hard. I don't know. I think one of my favorite concert was Arcade Fire in London in
Oh,
2018. That was amazing.
okay,
And
good.
maybe and Glastonbury in 2013 when I saw the Rolling Stones play,
Okay,
which were pretty amazing.
wow,
How about you?
wow.
What was your favorite?
I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember. I saw Patti Smith in concert.
Cool.
For free actually. She played a concert in my university. And yeah, she was pretty amazing. She's a living legend, so that was,
Yeah,
yeah, pretty good.
incredible. I've got a question here from Alicia asking if they mean the same thing. I presume you mean got
Yeah.
and gotten, and yes, they mean the same thing. You can say either of
Mhm.
them. Okay.
Very good. What's your favorite genre of music, Danielle? Just
Oh,
in general.
I don't know. I think that's too hard. I like most
Sure.
music. Yeah, I guess like
Yeah.
indie, like I like pop music, like indie rock music.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. You have a eclectic taste,
Yeah,
maybe. Eclectic. You
maybe,
like everything.
maybe. What about you?
I'm the same. I like most things. Nothing very intense. No heavy metal or things like that. But yeah, I like pop music, in jazz, classic things.
Very good.
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll
Should
move
we go
on.
on?
So here, questions using modals. So I think we'll take a minute to quickly think about modal verbs. Think about brainstorming some modal verbs.
Yeah.
So a modal verb is a verb that comes before the infinitive of a main verb, and it changes the meaning of the sentence somewhat to talk about obligation, possibility, different kinds of values. So I want everyone to, in the comments, tell us some modal verbs. Any modal verbs you can think of. There's quite a few of them. You have anything to add about the function of modal verbs, Danielle?
I think there's one other important thing to note is that a modal verb only exists in that one form. So there's no past tense, there's no future. It doesn't change. Okay, it's always the same. For every subject, it's the same. Okay, Alicha's got an example, can. So I can, you can, he can, she can, blah, blah, blah. All right. So what does
good, yes.
perfect?
It doesn't
Can.
change.
So what's what does can mean? What does this imply? Perfect example of a modal verb. Can is mean two things. It can mean permission, gives you permission to do something, or it talks about possibility. Actually, sorry guys, I've just there's another one I will add to that, and it's ability.
Yes.
So, for example, you guys can speak English. Okay, it's ability. Permission.
Hopefully.
Can I open the window? I'm sure you guys all can. Can I open the window? It's permission. You're asking permission. Okay.
Yeah, in general, modals are very big for questions because very often we need to ask questions about possibility, about obligation, about permission. And in English, very often, if you're asking a question, it's more polite to use a modal rather than just infinitive form question. It's more polite to use a modal generally when you're asking questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other modal examples?
We've got can. There's at least sort of 5 or 6 that we can cover. I'm sure you guys know. Come on.
Yeah.
Can. What's another important one?
Very similar to can, also beginning with C. Could. Yes, you remember could?
Could. That's very similar to can, like Sean said. Here we go, Alicia, thanks, could, perfect. Now, it also talks about possibility. Now, it's permission as well, so it's similar to can, but it's more polite. Okay, it's more polite than can. So, for instance, can I have a glass of water? Or could I have a glass of water? Okay. Could is more more polite. Okay. All right. Salvatore has a very good question. What's the difference between modal and semi-modals? Okay. Sean, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to have a go?
I can give that a go. So modal verbs are a single word that comes before the infinitive. And like Danielle said, the tense does not change for the person. The conjunction doesn't change for the tense or the person. A semi-modal is usually a phrase, so a verb and a preposition, which has the same function as a modal in the sentence. So it's a phrase that is used in the same way as a modal verb, but it is not modal because it's a phrase and because it does change depending on the person and the tense. So generally a collection of words, not one word like modal verbs.
Yeah.
Mm.
Also, sometimes semi-modals can be used in other contexts. So they can have, they're not just used in this situation, that you can use them for other things. But realistically, to be honest, you don't need to remember what is a modal and what is a semi-modal. You don't have to think about them being very separate. But if you need to think about how they're being used, that's the important thing. There's not a clear distinction between them. So, for example, nouns and adjectives, there's a clear difference. Modal, semi-modals, no, there's not a very clear difference between them. So don't worry about that, okay? Don't worry about it. We've got Antonio.
No, it's more a technical distinction than a practical one.
Yeah, I agree. We've got Antonio. You don't need to worry about being late. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Any more
We're just getting
modals?
started.
Yeah. Any more modals? We've had can and could. Anyone else? I can give us a hand.
We have two, like could with the W and with an SH. Also very important.
Here we go. Salvatore's got one. May and might. Salvatore's got both of them. Yeah. All right. What's the what's the difference between these two? They're very similar. Is there a difference? Maybe there's no difference between the two of them. Does anyone know? No. Okay.
We also have Alastair with should, and Giovanni, shall and should. Very good.
Well done. So may and might, this talks about possibility, right? So it might rain tomorrow, or it may rain tomorrow. And there's one important distinction between the two, though, is that you can use them to ask, you can use you can use may in a question. So if you ask permission for something, you can use may. May I open the window? Okay, but you can't use might. You can't use might in a question. You can use may in a question. Otherwise, they're exactly the same. Okay. Antonio, right. May is for permission. All right, what about this one? Let's get rid of this. Must. Excellent.
Must.
What does must mean?
Must, I think, is for obligation, for absolute obligation.
Yeah.
It's the modal for obligation. There's a semi-modal also for obligation. What's the semi-modal for obligation, Danielle?
Have to. I'm sure you guys all know that. So, you know that must we use for, first of all, obligations to yourself. So when you, for example, I must go for a run tomorrow. Or you use it for rules and laws. So, for example, with Italy at the moment, with everyone being the whole country in lockdown, we must stay home as much as possible. Right? It's a decree. It's the law.
It's the law, you must. It's formal. It's a rule, you must.
All right. What about someone else? We've got a few others in here. Shall and should. Here we go. Shall and should. And Alessia has should as well. All right. When do we use should? Does anyone know? Should. Should is when you give advice to someone. Okay. Or sometimes even to yourself.
Yeah.
I should drink less wine.
Yes.
Okay.
What you should do is generally the right thing to do, the correct thing to do.
Okay. And the next one, will. And I think that might be almost all of them that we need to know for now.
We're missing an important one for questions, which is would.
Oh,
Very
yes.
important for questions.
Okay. We've got
What's
will
the
as
meaning
well.
of would? Will and would, yeah.
So will is like an intention. Yeah. Okay. So we use will to talk about the future. All right. That's the main use of that one. Also for predictions, we use it. It will be nice weather tomorrow. And finally, would.
Yes.
All right. When do we use would? How do we use it? Would is difficult to define. It's like the English version of a conditional. Okay?
Yes, it's very, very versatile modal verb.
So I know not all students watching this are from Italy. I know we still have some. We have some, I think, from Spain and France now. But for the Italians, would before a verb is like your conditional tense. Okay?
Yeah.
It's the best way to think about it.
Yeah, it's about the conditional, but also about desire or what you're inclined to do. What you would do is what you want to do, what you're inclined to do. Yeah. And that becomes hypothetical and conditional very often.
Yeah. We've got a few other suggestions. Someone says wish. Wish isn't a modal verb. I think you're thinking of it in the context of to wish for something or to want something, but it's not. I wish to have. I don't know. I wish to have £1 million. I wish to have $1 million. No, it's not a modal verb though. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Because it has a past tense. I wished. If you can put it in the past, it's not a modal verb.
Yeah.
So let's look at the questions we can make about these using modals. So cost of tickets, question example, how much should tickets cost? So with should, we're talking about here, I think the correct thing, the right thing. So the question is asking, what is the correct amount for tickets to cost? Yeah. Should is implying correctness here. So Danielle, how much should tickets cost?
I don't know. It depends what it's for. What are we talking about? Music events. How much should a ticket cost to? I don't know. Let's make up. I don't know. What's a band I want to go and see? Okay, Of Monsters and Men. I love Of Monsters and Men.
Oh, great.
A ticket to Of Monsters and Men should cost €60. Okay. All right.
But with your press pass, you don't have to pay.
No, it's just cheaper. Still have to pay. It's just cheaper.
You still have to pay. You still have to pay.
Yeah.
We'll look at the next one. Go to more concerts if tickets cost less. Would you go to more concerts if tickets cost less? So this is what Danielle was saying. This is a conditional. This is a second conditional. If tickets cost less, I would go to more concerts. And for the question, we start with would. It's also worth noting the first question, we have a question word, how much, before the modal, how much should tickets cost? And for a closed modal question, you start with the modal verb. Would you go to more concerts if tickets cost less? So here it's a hypothetical situation. In this situation, what would your desire, your inclination be? What would you do? Would you go to more concerts if tickets cost less, Danielle?
No, probably not.
No.
I don't care. If I want to see a band, I'll go. I don't
The
care how
ticket
much.
price is not important.
No.
Okay, good. So the next one, how about you explain this one,
Okay, sure.
Danielle?
So, how far would you go to see a music festival? So again, this is talking about, it's a hypothetical, all right? So it's not about reality now. It's not asking you about a particular festival, but in general, as a hypothesis, how far would you go? Okay. Sean, how far would you go to see a music festival that you really wanted to see?
Um, it depends. I think sometimes it's nice to go on a holiday, to go to a concert. It's two experiences together. I
Hmm.
haven't done it, but I would definitely go to a different city in Europe, maybe. Outside of
Hmm.
Europe is maybe too far.
Okay. Yeah, fair
How
enough.
far would you go?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'd go overseas if it was something I really wanted to see. Definitely
Hmm,
not outside of Europe. Definitely not.
okay.
Okay, next one, where to
Where to
stand.
stand?
Mm,
Where would you stand
or
or
sit.
sit?
Okay.
So again, would, we're talking about your inclination, your desire in a hypothetical. So, do you like to stand or sit at concerts, Danielle?
I prefer to stand. How about
Hmm.
you?
It depends on the concert. Certainly for a rock concert or a pop concert, I think it's good to stand. But if it's something more relaxed, like jazz or classical, sitting is better.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And everyone, can you please answer these questions in the comments? Tell us
Yeah,
what you would do.
it's not just for us to talk about.
So the next one, Danielle, you take this one, please.
Okay, so could you recommend a summer festival? So this is a question. So this is about possibility. Okay, is it possible to recommend a summer festival?
Yes.
All right, it's talking about possibility. You're wanting
Mm.
advice.
And it's
Hmm.
polite, not
Yes,
can, could.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's more polite. Okay,
Mm.
and number six.
Who would be on your dream lineup?
Yeah.
What's a lineup, Danielle?
Does anyone know what a lineup is?
Mm.
Maybe the lineup is at a festival. It is the bands or musicians that are playing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it's the list on the poster, and you see who is playing when. 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. That's the lineup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who would be on your dream lineup, Danielle?
Oh. I don't know. That's too hard.
Too hard.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. Who do I really want to see? I know she's really old now, but I would love to see Madonna because I think she's amazing still.
But she's still going. She's still
Yeah.
going. So.
And I would, I think, want to sound like a pop princess. I would love to see Beyonce and I'd love to see Lady Gaga because I think they're
I
all performers.
I've seen Beyonce myself.
Oh, yeah.
I would recommend definitely
Good to
something
know.
worth seeing. Yeah. Mm.
We've
I
got some
would
answers.
recommend.
Good to know. I've got some answers here. So Alessia says, I would go to more concerts if tickets cost less, which is fair enough. I think lots of people would. And then the lineup, yeah, the number of artists, but also the
Exactly.
names of the artists. And a question here, which we should address, which is related to modals. A very good question. So there's a difference between mustn't and don't have to.
Mm.
Okay,
Not
should we
having
talk?
to, don't have to.
Yeah, let's put it up. So let's look at how. Talk about the difference between these for a second because it's very important.
Mm.
Okay, so we know must and have to are the same. They're basically the same. But these two are completely different. They're not the same. They're very different. Sean, do you want to explain the difference?
So mustn't is prohibition. You are not allowed. It is forbidden. It is, you cannot do it. It's not possible. It's prohibited. It's not allowed. Whereas don't have to is just that there is no obligation.
Yeah.
There is an absence of obligation, a lack of obligation. It is not prohibited. You can, if you want to. It's just telling you that there is no obligation in this situation. Usually use it in a situation where the person could think that they have an obligation to do something and you are clarifying no obligation, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's a subtle difference. Is there anything else you can think to make it clearer?
No, I don't think so. I think that's fine.
Yeah. It's
think-
best to look at examples for
Yeah.
these.
So, for example, at the moment, you mustn't you mustn't travel to other cities in Italy. Okay. You have to stay at home. You mustn't travel to other cities, but you don't have to wear a mask.
No,
Okay.
you don't
It's
have
an option.
to.
Yeah. It's an option. So you don't have to.
Do you have a mask?
No, I don't.
I
Do
don't.
you? No.
No, I find them very strange.
Okay.
Anyway, back to modals. We'll move along. So now, music words. So we're going to look at some words which are all in the same family of words. So this is all great vocabulary to do with music. So coming from the word music, musical, musician, and musically. So a musical it's a noun, it's a play where they sing. It's a drama in a theater where they have a lot of singing. They're very popular in America, in New York on Broadway, and also in London on the West End. A musician, again, a noun. This is the person who plays music. And musically is an adverb when you do something with a musical quality. So if somebody speaks musically, they have a voice that sounds like they're singing, maybe. Just for example. Crowd.
Can I just jump in for a second? Guys, if you have any words to add to these word formations, these word families, write them into us. Okay? Let us know and then we'll discuss them.
Yeah. How about you explain the ones to do with crowd?
Sure. So we know what a crowd is, obviously. A crowd is the noun, the group of people, too many people. Crowded is the adjective. So normally, Piazza del Duomo in Milan is crowded.
Not at
the moment. Overcrowded, again, is an adjective. And when it's very crowded, but it's excessively crowded. All right. And uncrowded. That's interesting. I would not say uncrowded.
No,
I don't know about you. It's an
neither would
adjective.
I. But I think I would say empty. I would say something like that. But I think it is a word technically. So negative, the absence of people.
Yeah.
But I would say empty myself.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, group. I'll let you do this one, Sean.
So yeah, a group is more than one person, more than 3 people usually. A groupie, this is an interesting word. This is someone who is a person, a noun, who's really so passionate about a band that they follow them around they follow the group, a groupie. It's a word I think associated with rock music usually.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And to regroup is a verb. And to regroup means if a group separates and comes together again, when they come together again, they have regrouped. So in music, often you talk about a band splits up, they go their separate ways, and maybe later they can regroup, they come together again. And grouped is a past participle of to group, which is again a verb. And to group people is to bring people together, to group people into a band, to group people into teams, things like this.
Mhm.
For play, Danielle?
Yeah, sure. So play. Okay, so play can be a verb, obviously to play something, and that obviously has lots of meanings. You play a musical instrument, you play a sport, you play like children play in the park. It's also a noun. So a play is a show at the theatre. Okay, it's a play. Playful is an adjective, and it describes usually a person or an animal that wants to play. Right? It's very light-hearted. Okay, it was very playful. Playlist is very different. I'm sure maybe you guys use the word playlist. Playlist is a list of songs that you have either on Spotify that you listen to, or back in the day you listen to on a CD or a tape even. All right, that's a playlist. And overplayed, this is an adjective. And it describes when I think about it in relation to music. So maybe the radio a song is overplayed on the radio. So the best song of the moment, and one radio station plays it every hour. Okay, it's overplayed. There's also, Alicia has a good one, a player. Excellent. So a player can be a football player or a tennis player. Okay.
Not for music, though. For music, a musician.
Yeah.
You could say a piano player, but usually a pianist.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, but certainly in sport we use that.
Very much, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we have to fill these gaps with the correct word from the same family as music or play or crowd or group. So, can you start, Danielle, please?
Yes. So why don't we let you guys start at home? Let's see if you've got any ideas. So my friend Ted is bloop, talented and dreams of becoming a famous bloop, or better yet, a DJ. What do you think that is? What are those missing words? They're on the left. No one? Okay, in that case, so we say, my friend Ted is musically talented and dreams of becoming a famous musician.
Yes, okay. Very good.
Now we've got musically, and so musically is an adverb because it changes an adjective. Yeah, it describes an adjective, so it's an adverb. Yeah.
Yes. So next, he enjoys music so much that when we went to a music festival this past summer, we really liked the DJs. Their something didn't include a lot of the songs that are something on the radio. So I think we have a noun and then a verb. So, any ideas for this one, guys?
Anyone? Come on, guys, we can see you're still there. No?
Okay, so their playlists didn't include a lot of songs that are overplayed on the radio. So it's positive that the songs are not overplayed. Yes, Alessia got it. Very good. Playlists and overplayed. So can you continue, Danielle?
Sure. So now we've got the venue was blip. So I lost head after the first set. Okay, here are some interesting words. So venue. What does venue mean? These are
very important word.
Often, people often ask about this in focuses.
Yeah, I don't think there's an equivalent word in Italian.
Yeah, not that I know of.
Yeah.
It's so it's a location where an event occurs. Now you usually see it written. So a concert has a venue, a party has a venue, a wedding has a venue. It's usually something formally organized, and you use the word venue. Yeah, Antonio said a place for an event. Perfect. Okay. And now also, what does a set mean?
Oh, yes. A set is,
what does it say?
if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the first selection of songs, the first playlist, and then they take a break, and then the second set.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Exactly. So,
and I see.
At a concert, you normally have, they play a couple of songs in a row, have a quick break, pretend they're leaving, and then come back and play their second set.
Yes.
Yeah.
The encore as well. They always do the encore, but they pretend they won't.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alessia got this one. Overcrowded, very good.
Well done.
So I lost Ted after the first set. Next, we would something by the left side of the stage, close to the backstage entrance where the something hang out. So these are with group. So we would, I think, a verb in the infinitive after would, of course, and then where the something hang out. So a noun for this one. I think we'll answer so we can move along.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah.
Regroup and groupies.
Yeah.
So just some good vocabulary to talk about music and music festivals.
There's another one that maybe we should talk about.
Yes.
If you go back, and it's a backup plan. What's that? Does anyone know what a backup plan is?
Okay. Yeah, maybe, it's just at the end here.
Yeah, maybe we call it a plan B. Yeah. Okay, so you have your plan, that you want to do this, but maybe it's not going to work. All right. If it doesn't work, you do this instead. That is your backup plan.
Yes. Okay. In case of emergency or a problem with plan A.
Yeah.
The backup plan. Right. So back to our lovely modals. So we have a situation. Kate and Peter are planning to attend a summer music festival this year. Their parents aren't super thrilled, so they are setting some ground rules. So this is going to be the list of rules that Kate and Peter's parents make for how they should behave, how they should act at the summer music festival. So the first one, if you get lost, you have a designated meeting spot, either should or may.
So let's think about this. So should is something that's advisable, right? recommended. May is a possibility. What do you think? So these are rules from their parents.
Yeah,
Which one do you think it is?
I think should.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Next one, Danielle. What do you think about this one?
Okay, you have identification on you at all times, or ID. It's usually just ID, right? What do you think? Might, so it's a possibility, or must, it's an
Mm-hmm.
obligation. Got a few. Well done, Antonio and Alessia. You got should right. What about the next one? With ID, is it an obligation, so must, or is it a possibility, so might? What do you guys think?
Must.
Yeah.
Antonia
Well
says
done.
must.
Yeah, Alessia says must. Perfect. Next one.
Be careful about meeting new people. They something not be trustworthy. So might or can. So this is interesting actually. It's
Yeah.
negative. So might and can are both about possibility. But when you're talking about negative, it's a bit different. Does anyone have any idea?
No? Sean, why don't you explain?
Yes. We have might, yes, from Alessia, Alicia,
Done.
Antonia. And yes, so it's possible that they are not trustworthy. It's a possibility. They might not be trustworthy. It's something that could be a possibility. Whereas if they cannot be trustworthy, this means it's impossible that they are trustworthy. So in this case, can is stronger than might for talking about possibility in this negative context. And the next one, Danielle.
Carry your phone with you at all times. So you call for help. Okay, now what have we got? We've got could and can. These are both very similar, remember? The main difference is in a question, and could is more polite. But this isn't a question, this is a statement. So they're very similar. The only difference, maybe can is stronger, right? It's a stronger possibility. Whereas could maybe isn't quite as strong. So in this situation, because we're talking about rules from parents, I think we would use can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Alessia, Alicia, both got that right. Well done, can.
And the next one, use something call home twice a day. Need to or will? I don't think we had need to before.
No, we didn't.
No. What kind of a semi-modal is need to, Danielle?
Anyone know what it means? It's like a requirement.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a
So
requirement.
the meaning is different to will, which is a future event intention. So I think it's need to requirement, definitely. The next one,
you aren't allowed to go somewhere alone. You stay together. What does allowed to mean?
Permission. You don't have permission to.
No.
So,
So you should stay together or you have to stay together. Again, these are rules from parents. What do you think it is?
It's interesting because neither is incorrect. It's just because of the context, I think have to.
Yeah.
Because the parents are being very strict.
Well done, Alessia and Alicia. Right again. Okay, nearly there, guys. Number 7.
Everyone is very good at their modals. Number 7, you carry some extra money just in case of an emergency. So we have ought to and could. We didn't have ought to.
No.
It's a semi-modal, and it's quite like should. It's about the right thing to do, the correct thing to do, the recommendation. So here, I think, again, ought to carry some extra money just in case of an emergency. It's not a possibility, it's the right thing to do. And
Guys,
finally, the last one.
Sorry, before ought to is not common. It's quite old-fashioned. It's quite old-fashioned and it's quite formal. I don't think I've ever said ought to, except for teaching.
No,
Okay?
me neither. Also,
Yeah.
shall is very
Yes.
old-fashioned. Shall and
We
ought to,
don't say
no.
shall. Yeah, exactly. All right, and last one, you go, but only if you agree to these rules. Right. So can, remember, is for permission. Shall is a bit like should. All right. Again, shall, remember what we said, we don't use it very often. So what do you think it is? You can, okay? They're getting permission from their parents to go. All right, guys, I think we're out of time.
Yes. But you were all very, very good at your modals. I didn't see any confusion for anyone in the comments, really. So, well done. Very good. And thank you for watching. And keep watching the webinars. We have them every day, every hour. So tune in when you can. And yes, Danielle?
I just want to quickly say that on MyS's Facebook page, we have this section or another page called MyS SOS English. And this is an opportunity for you guys at home to write to us, to write to the teachers with any questions you have about English. And we will respond to you and to clarify things. Okay? If there's any questions you've always wanted to ask, but you've never had time in class, now is the opportunity. So you can type away to us. Okay?
Okay. All right, that's it from us. Thank you, and bye from me.
Thanks, guys. Have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend. See you next time.